All right, welcome back, everyone. This is Ebony again, a.k.a. Fit Mom Diva of Simplicity Health Style, and today we have Miss Mel with us. How are you, Mel?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you?
I am awesome. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend with us. For those of you that do stick around to the end, you'll have an opportunity to earn a complimentary gift as a form of appreciation for listening to Miss Mel today. And she's going to start us off by sharing a motivational quote, something that inspires you, Mel. What's something that inspires you and gets you going?
I don't know if this is really like an motivational quote, but my mother had, oh, even my grandmother had always said this to me. It's respect everyone, but don't be afraid of anyone. So I mean, it sounds better in Creole, but that's what basically it translates to. And that's basically the type of person that I grew up to be. I respect anyone, everyone, but just don't try me. You know what I mean?
Yes. Can you say it to us in Creole? I would love to hear it in Creole.
In Creole is respected tout moun, pape on ken moun.
Awesome. I just love people that can speak more than one language because I speak just English. Well, I do speak some Spanish, but not enough to have a long drawn out conversation. I can read it better than I can speak it.
Right.
And I think the longer that I'm around Spanish speaking people, I can pick it up pretty quickly, but I'm not around them enough to say that I'm fluent. So I always love to hear people that can speak another language. It sounds so
I
cool.
mean, it's definitely a struggle at times, because sometimes I'm speaking, you know, English and I mean to speak, let's say like Creole or French or like it's just your mind just gets all jumbled up sometimes, and you intention like you don't really notice yourself doing it, but you end up speaking a whole different language with another person, and the other person just looking at you like, what?
Well, hopefully we don't confuse you today. Just switch your brain to English today. I love that quote though. Can you kind of infuse that with talking a little bit about a time in your life where you didn't necessarily see the light at the end of the tunnel and you had to overcome some obstacles, maybe some unforeseen circumstances, and at the end of the day, you were able to bring your goal or your dream to fruition?
Um, it's funny that you reached out to me around the time that you did, because around that time I was going through a lot of stuff at work. Um, so basically, what was going on was that my direct supervisor, she was being, it was really apparent that she was being racist. And so I'll try to give her the benefit of the doubt, me being the positive person that, that I am. I was like, okay, well, maybe she just doesn't know me. Maybe she just, needs time to warm up to me. Because the first time I met her, she didn't even want to shake my hand. So it was like I took 5 months of that, and I was basically like, all right, this is getting like enough is enough. So I'm supposed to be her assistant. So we're supposed to be, a team, and I have people that work under me. So whenever there's information that needs to be given, I would hear that information from my subordinates, and she would not communicate that with me. And so she would just kind of be super dismissive. I was not trained on any of what I needed to be trained on. She would talk around me. She would talk to everyone in the room except for me. She would address everyone in the room except for me. And then I would just get written up for basically just plain out lies. But it's a good thing that I keep my emails, that I keep my receipts, I keep all those things. I document every single thing from that point on, because I was just like, all right, so now it's just not a matter of her warming up to me or her getting to know me. She just genuinely does not like me, and I'm trying to figure out why. And so, me being the detective that I am, she used to be a manager at another department. So I tracked down her old assistant, who, guess what, was also a black female. So we talked. We kind of compared notes, and we kind of compared stories, and it was the exact same thing. And then I'm like, So, from that point on, I went to HR. I presented my case. I'm like, I'm not sure what the issue is, this, that, and the third. This is what I've heard from her former assistant herself. And so at the end of the day, and I'm not sure if this is the reason why she got terminated, but last week, exactly a week ago, she got terminated. Last week, Monday. So I'm not sure if that's really the light at the end of the tunnel for me, but it was just a real life struggle at that point for me, because it was like I was not able to do my job effectively. I had no support there whatsoever. I used to take work home with me, and I used to rack my brains around it, and come to find out, like, I had no control over that. And me coming from, Haiti, I always tell people this. In Haiti, we're all Black.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, there's colorism, but like, to say that there's racism is really a stretch. You would rarely hear anyone say that there's racism in Haiti. Colorism, yeah, definitely. But the majority of us, like 99% of us, we're all Black. So
Right.
it was just a really sad 8 months for me.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot to deal with when you're talking about that's a place that you are 40 plus hours a week.
Emphasis on the plus.
Yeah, and you're a lot of times when you're, working in your corporate job, that's like your family. Like you see those people more than you see your family, your immediate family and real close friends. So to be in an environment where you're being talked around and acting as if you're not even there, I know that could be draining, particularly draining when all you're there to do is to, enjoy your work as much as you can, be productive. And a lot of times it's a stepping stone to, the next great thing that happens to you. And you don't want you don't want to end up saying anything where it affects your next movement in life. When, really it's not even you. It's,
Right.
you having to deal with someone else's, you know, issues essentially. That's unfortunate, but at least now you're in a state of peace for a little while. So we'll celebrate that for the time being. Tell me a little bit about your challenges with gaining support in your endeavors, if you've had any, or how someone can gain support in their endeavors. Because sometimes, we are looking forward to the next big thing, or we might know what our vision is or what our dreams and goals are. We might have it all written down on paper. And, sometimes people get in the way, like, this supervisor you were talking about, and derail us. And we might even have family and friends that are not necessarily supportive of our goals. So talk a little bit about how people can gain support so that they can continue to make continuous progress toward their goals.
I think for me personally, support came after I started doing things for myself. Kind of like, I grew up, like I said, in a very Haitian household. My mother was not having me going to school and living on campus. But at the same time, I didn't have a car, and it wasn't ideal for me to be driving back and forth. And so I kind of had to, do what I needed to do at that point, which I was like 17, 18 at that point. And so college was kind of like my next big thing. So
Mhm.
my mother wasn't gonna be able to pay for it. So I had to put my big girl pants on. So I went and I enlisted in the Army National Guard. They pay 100% of my tuition and fees. Um, Financial aid covered my room and board. And so after that, I presented her with all the paperwork. I said, "This is what's gonna happen. This is how we're gonna do this." And she she wasn't having it still, but I had already, done it. It was something. It was. I knew at that point it was what was best for me and best for my future. So
Right.
after I took all of that, after I went to basic training for like 9 months, we rarely spoke on the phone. So because of it being a military base and all that stuff. So this is exactly what she was afraid of the whole disconnect. But when I came back, distance makes the heart grow fonder. So we definitely bonded a lot more. And then I came back. I went straight to school afterwards. And then 2.5 years later, I got my bachelor's degree, and now I'm going for my master's. And now it was the best possible. Looking back now, of course, I felt guilty because you don't go against your mother.
Yeah.
Um, but at that point in time, I knew that was basically my only option. So I had to kind of go ahead and do it. And eventually, a year or so in, she, saw that I was able to take care of myself and so that everything was, working out. I still kept in contact with her. Um, so then she ended up supporting me, and the rest of the family followed. And I definitely made some great friends along the way. So, like I said, that support for me came after, I started doing things for myself.
Awesome. That's, one of those things where when you don't have the immediate support that you feel like you need, it might not even be that the person can't, or doesn't want to support you. It's just that they can't support you the way that you need them to in that moment for various reasons. So sometimes it's just, okay, so how can I think outside of the box so that I'm able to gain support in other ways that maybe are not even the most popular ways, but there are ways that are going to help you get to your next step. So I always say to people too that, it's one of those things where you really do have to do your research and find the people that are going to be able to help you, because we live in a world full of people, and I always say the same thing. We live in a world where there are billions of people on this earth. You can find somebody to support you if you really want to. It's not like you need 500 people to support you. You only need a couple people to support you. So you can find a couple people out of this world of billions of people. Particularly because now that we have the online space, you can connect with people online if you can't find them in your local community, your local city. So talk a little bit about the relationship between self-care and maybe some self-care techniques that you might even use or that you currently use, and the relationship between self-care and us being able to realize our dreams. Because even if you have support, even if you know what your vision is, even if you feel like I'm a driven person, if you don't take care of yourself, you're not necessarily going to be able to serve and benefit others. It's not going to be a benefit to you if you're drained and frustrated and overwhelmed all the time. So talk a little bit about the relationship between self-care and you realizing your dreams and some forms of self-care that you use to alleviate stress.
Well, I have to admit that I have not really been taking care of myself lately. Self care for me as of late has been non existent because between work and school, I have to make my schedule around one or the other. So it's kind of like whenever I have free time, that's when like my self care is sleep right now. So it's really not good, and I'm really trying hard to get out of there, to get out of this space where I could start doing things that I enjoy, start going out. Like I love going to the movies, even though people think I'm a weirdo for going to the movies by myself. I don't care, I go. So I really want to go back to doing that again, just taking the time, taking myself out, and not just sleep, work, school, and maybe eat, because I have not been taking care of my body at all, and it's been just horrible. So those are changes that I need to hold myself accountable for. I can't. I really cannot blame it on work and school and all of that. It's just a matter of me using my time wisely and basically not burn myself out, because I tend to do that. Like I said, I got my bachelor's in 2.5 years, and that's because I took winter, summer, whatever Maymester courses, whatever courses that were offered during whatever break I was taking. So it was, so I definitely need to take it back a little bit. So the relationship between myself and my, endeavors and self-care is right now is non-existent, unfortunately. But reading your articles have been making me feel so guilty. It's making me feel really guilty, because I'm like, wow, I'm really not taking care of me.
What she's talking about are my blog articles. I have one that talks a little bit about how busy makes us sick. And I took a trip to Bali one year with one of my best friends, and there is so laid back. I mean, I'm not saying that everybody there is laid back, but it's just such a laid back, peaceful country. And I just love Indonesia, and I love, the serenity of, how they think, and they're very, hospitable to each other, and there's crime like everywhere else. But when you compare the style of living over there to the United States, it literally, to me, felt like I left heaven and went straight to hell when I got back in the United States. My flight flew into Washington, D.C., which is where I'm from. I'm from the Maryland, D.C. area. And I currently live in Tampa, Florida. And Tampa, Florida is also very laid back. But when I flew into DC and I just saw the, overwhelm on everybody's faces, like the bags under people's eyes, and everybody looked like they didn't have any patience with each other, cussing each other out. And it was just a whole different world. And I find that when you are stressed out like that, or not even to that degree, you're just always giving to someone else, whether it's your job, your family, whomever. You don't have time to really self-reflect. And for me, I'm the most productive when I make sure that I take time out for myself. And sometimes that means saying no. Sometimes I have to tell people, no, I ain't going to that party. Sorry. And not feel guilty about it. Because in all honesty, there are going to be plenty of people there that they can still socialize with. You don't need my presence. And that's for me to be able to make sure that I'm the best person that I need to be. So I always say that if you can't find at least 15 minutes in your day that is just for yourself, or at least 15 minutes every other day that's just for yourself, just look at ways to rearrange your schedule. And sometimes that could be just sleeping. Self-care looks different for everybody. That could be just sitting looking at four walls, or it could be going to the gym. It could be walking. It could be painting a picture. It could be anything. But just making sure that you take that time so that when you do have these goals that you want to achieve, you actually have the energy to do it. It does nothing for you to just have the thought in your mind for years on end and not do anything, not take any steps. And just baby steps is okay. It doesn't have to be big leaps and bounds. Baby steps can be okay. So thank you for sharing that you're challenged in that area, because I think that 8 out of 10 people walking down the street, I want to almost say 9 out of 10 people walking down the street, at least in Western society, have that same struggle. And it becomes something that, we need in our lives, and we recognize we need it in our life. But until we implement it, no matter what you know, it's what are you doing with what you know. For anyone that's listening, if you guys have any challenges in the area of bringing more simplicity to your life, that's what I'm all about. I'm all about simplicity. Bringing more simplicity to your life. If you need help in the area of recognizing what your true natural gifts are and how you can utilize your career experience or life experience along with those natural gifts and strengths, and you're not really sure and clear on what that is for you, reach out to me. I remember I said at the beginning of this interview that if you reached out to me that you would have an opportunity to earn a complimentary gift. I'll provide you with some free assessments that are going to help focus you in on exactly what your gifts are and how you can best utilize your experiences with your gifts so that you can create a more meaningful career in life. I love it when people are, in close and intimate conversations with me too, because we can learn more from each other. And so I invite you into my Nutrition for Busy Women Facebook group. If you're on Facebook, you'll see the link in the description box, or just send me an email and we'll connect another way. So Mel, can you just close us out by sharing just a few words of encouragement for ladies that are listening to this and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's great. I hear what you're saying, but I really don't know what my next step is, and I'm just going to stay right here, stuck where I am. What are some words of encouragement that you would give to those ladies?
I think that patience is key. I know personally for me, I've had, you know, like I said, I've had a lot of struggles. At one point, I didn't have a job at all, and then at one time, I had like 6 offers in like one week. So I think patience is key, but also going out there, networking, getting to know people, putting yourself out there. It doesn't even have to be about jobs. Maybe you want to go out more. Meetus.com, where like do something. Because like I said, staring at four walls is self care for me, but that doesn't mean that it's gonna be for everybody. So if you're looking for something, you kind of have to go out there and get it, but also trust in the process and believe that if it's meant for you, it's gonna come to you.
Yes. And that is so true. If something is meant for you, it's going to happen regardless. You don't need to necessarily know the how. It's just trust the process. And sometimes it does take some patience. And I know that for myself, I used to want to plan everything like years in advance sometimes. And, doing that sometimes is kind of like, why are you really doing that? I mean, it's good to have a plan, but at the same time, why are you really planning years in advance, Ebony? Because so many things can happen in the duration. Stuff can happen totally different a month later, so it is good to have a plan. That way you have some level of focus, but trusting in the process and knowing that things may go swiftly to the side, and that's okay. Just understanding that it's all a part of living and it's just an adventure. That's how I look at it now. It's just an adventure. Whatever comes is gonna come, and I'll just enjoy where I'm at right now.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Mel. I appreciate you. And for those of you that are listening, if you want to be able to also share your experiences, share your challenges, share your story, I would love to have you speak on one of my future episodes. I know that ladies around the world can definitely benefit. And it's always good for us to be able to connect with each other and understand that we're all in this together. So wherever you are in the world, I appreciate you share this content out to whomever you feel that can benefit from it. And I look forward to seeing you in our next episode. Remember to always live a life full of meaning and purpose. I'll talk to you guys